All right, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at some things in Canvas, as well as talk about just a few of the details that are going to kind of come into effect starting next week, since next week is the week where the whole schedule changes. We'll have seniors back in class, or at least the seniors that chose to be hybrid. And then everybody knows it takes, I think the week after spring break, freshmen are coming back, and then the week after that, sophomores and juniors will be back. So we'll kind of look at all that stuff here in just a second. So what I'm going to do first is share my screen. We'll take a look at Canvas, and I want to kind of point out a couple of things. The first thing that I want to point out is last week we took our test, right? So this week, your retest could be on your plate. It just depends on if you need to take it or not. Just remember, just like I've been emphasizing the last couple of weeks, don't take the retest until you are prepped and ready, until you have gone back. And if you haven't, go back to each one of these past lessons and do the practice problems. That's one thing I highly recommend. If you haven't done those yet, I would definitely recommend going back and doing those. If you haven't done the review, I would definitely recommend doing that. But again, like I said, the test was from last week. So ideally, we'll knock out the retest this week. Of course, if you have any questions about that, just shoot me an email. We could talk about something. I can clarify anything for you and help you out, whatever you need. And that's not everybody. Some people are not going to have a retest on their plate. It just depends on if you want to or not. So this week was 5.1. So we are kicking off Unit 5, dealing with the nth roots, radicals, and rational exponents. Remember, textbook, all the pages are there, the practice problems that you need to be doing. Make sure you're doing these, because this is going to prep you for not only this week's assignments, but for the test when we see that in, whatever, next month or something. Extra practice problems, if you choose to do those, you're more than welcome to access those there. Just keep in mind, with both the practice problems and the extra practice problems, they're both included in the solutions manual. So I would always recommend having the solutions manual open while you're doing these problems, just to make sure you're on the right track and each step is looking good and your answers are looking good and everything just in general looks good. The two assignments that are due this Sunday, the 28th, are the vocab and concepts and the check-in. And then, of course, if you'd like to, along with the solutions manual, my video tutorial is here. Part 1 was me going through the lesson. Part 2 was me going through all the practice problems. So feel free to access that if you'd like to. One thing that's going to change is moving forward. So now I'm talking about next week. When the schedule changes next week, and we'll be doing first, second, and third period on Monday, Tuesday, fourth, fifth, and sixth period on Wednesday, Thursday. And then obviously the times are going to change. So instead of having 45-minute classes, we have, I believe, 80 or 85-minute classes. So those expectations are going to change. We'll talk about that in a second. But one thing I'm not going to do is unlock the next unit on the Wednesday prior, because again, the expectation is students are in class for the entire duration of the class for the 80 or 85 minutes. So I think now that we're kind of getting back to some normalcy, I'm going to get rid of, unlocking things the Wednesday prior. And that way people can just kind of take care of all their work the week that it's assigned. So I'm not going to actually cover what we're going to do next week. We will talk about it on Monday when we have class, or on Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know. It just depends on when you're going to see me. All right. So one thing that I want to switch over to now is the schedule. So this is the schedule for conference week. I have no clue if they emailed this out. I'm sure they did. From my understanding, this was emailed out to students and families, I believe, but I'm not in charge of that, so I can't confirm it was. If you're one of those students that are still not checking their email, please make sure you're checking your email on a daily basis, at least before class or before school starts. I would even recommend before each class starts. That way, if the teacher sends out something, you'll be able to get that right away. So this is just next week's schedule. Next week is student-led conferences. So it's basically a half-day schedule, a little bit different than what we're going to see, for the other weeks after this week. So Next week, here's Monday at the top, Friday at the bottom. Here is the actual schedule. So you'll notice that Monday, Tuesday, it's not flipping back and forth like it does now. Like now is 1, 2, 3 on Monday, 4, 5, and 6 on Tuesday. And then it flips back and forth again on Wednesday, Thursday. It's not doing that. So make sure you're paying attention to this change. Starting next Monday, it's going to be periods 1, 2, and 3 on Monday, and then again on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, it'll be periods 4, 5, and 6 on Wednesday, and then again on Thursday. And then Friday is just going to be held for small groups, or, maybe, if you need something in addition, you can talk with your teacher about that, but it's not going to be a dedicated class day. Make sure you're understanding the difference between what's happening now with our schedule versus starting next week. Periods 1 through 3 on Monday, Tuesday, 4 through 6 on Wednesday, Thursday. Next week is a little bit of a weird week because it's student-led conference week. So you'll notice that the times are a little bit different. They're almost kind of like normal times. First period is running from 7:30 to 8:28. And the reason why this is a little bit longer, it's 58 minutes versus the other 48-minute class, is because they're trying to build in some time at the start of the day for teachers to use as they choose. Some teachers are going to use it to make sure everybody's health screenings are taken care of and everybody's good to go as far as that's concerned. Some people are going to use it as, maybe like an extra 10, 15 minutes of study hall time. I don't know. Maybe like an organizational time. They might use it other ways. It just depends on the teacher. So that's the reason why that first period is a little bit longer than the other periods. So you'll notice that on Monday, it's basically a half-day schedule. You'll have first period, second period, then third period. And then you'll notice after third period is over, which is also 48 minutes, then they're going to have a grab-and-go lunch available. So pretty much the exact same thing on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, the exact same schedule, but notice that we're switching to 4, 5, and 6 on Wednesday and Thursday. And then next week, again, being unique, we got conferences on Tuesday and Wednesday. So just make sure if you haven't signed up for conferences yet, make sure if you and your family would like to, make sure you do that. And then this is just kind of saying like where are students at. So group A is going to be in person on Monday, and then group B is going to be in person on Tuesday, I'm sorry. On Wednesday, group A is back in person. And then on Thursday, group B is back in person. So that's how it's working. It's periods 1 through 3 on Monday, Tuesday, 4 through 6 on Wednesday, Thursday. Group A is in class. So they'll actually be in school in their seat on Monday, Wednesday. And then group B will be in their seat on Tuesday, Thursday. Okay. People that are 100% remote are just going to stay remote, and just keep in mind that when you're at home, for example, on Monday, group A will be in their seat, but group B will be at home. Same with the 100% remote people. That whole time for first, second, and third period, even though you're at home, you're still expected to stay engaged in on your Zoom session or on your Google Meet session in class. Attendance policies are changing. If you haven't heard that, right now, we've talked multiple times about the 3 ways you could be counted present for a class. Moving forward, as of next week, those ways are changing, and it's going to be just like normal. If you're late to a class, if you show up late to a Zoom session, or if you show up late to the actual class, you'll be marked tardy. If you show up late to the Zoom session or to class after 10 minutes, then you're marked absent. If you leave in the middle of class for whatever reason, and you don't contact the teacher, you don't come back to class. Let's say you had just a problem with the internet, so you got kicked off and then you joined back in 2 minutes. That's not going to be a big deal. But let's say you joined first period at 7:29, perfect, you're marked present. And let's say you left at 7:58 and you were gone for the last 30 minutes of class, you'll be marked absent for that class. So the same policies that we've always had in high school with just going to class, being tardy, being counted absent is going to be enforced starting next week as well. So make sure that don't think that you're just going to be at home, Group B or the 100% remote people for Monday. Don't think you're just going to be at home and you can just come and go as you choose. You will be marked absent if you come later than 10 minutes to class or you leave without permission. So one thing that's coming with these absences is I've heard from multiple students is that you're working. I've got a job. I'm supposed to work during that time. Is there any way we can work out a schedule? You can talk to whatever teacher you want to. As far as I'm concerned, no, your number one job is to be in school and to be successful in school. So unless that's something that you and your family wants to work out with administration, and then they can let the teacher know that that's acceptable. Or if you want to talk to your teacher about that in certain periods, then that's up to you. But as far as I'm concerned, nobody will be dismissed just because they need to go to work. You'll need to manage those times with your work and change your schedule so that way you're available during school hours. All right. Let's go ahead and look at what a normal schedule looks like. I know it's not as kind of nice as what this is like, but this is what they gave us. So let me explain what this looks like. Starting next week, that is the conferences schedule we just looked at. After conference week, we have spring break. So coming back from spring break, which is the 12th of April. So starting on the 12th of April, that's when this schedule will be in effect. So let's go ahead and look at each one. They're calling first period, here's first period, but they're calling this extended first. Because again, remember, this is that 15-minute duration. The 15-minute duration is going to be used differently by every teacher. Like I said earlier, it could be used just to make sure your health screenings are in place. It could be used to just give you that time to set yourself up for success for the day. It just depends on the teacher. So that extended first period, it might be used differently from class to class. Obviously, you'll already be in first period, so there's no passing time because you're already going to be in class. And then first period is technically starting at 7:45. The total time length is 1 hour and 25 minutes, and then you'll be released from first period at 9:10. So for 85 minutes, you'll be in first period. How is that going to look for our class? Well, we're going to talk about that starting next week. I don't want to give you too much information today, but I've got a plan, and like everybody says, we're going to go with it. And if it needs to be adjusted, if it needs to be changed, we'll change our plan. But I've got an idea of how we'll structure those classes to kind of use those 85 minutes as best as possible. So for first period, starts at 7:45, ends at 9:10. And then you'll have a 5-minute passing period to go from first period to second period. Second period starts at 9:15. Again, it's also 1 hour and 25 minutes, and it ends at 10:40. Then after second period, you'll have a 5-minute passing period, just like normal throughout a regular school year. Third period will begin at 10:45. Third period is going to be a stretch of time that includes your lunch. So either you're going to have one of 3 lunches, and I'm not sure how people know this or not, but I'm assuming they've emailed people. First lunch is going to start at the beginning of third period. So you'll notice down here, here's lunch 1, here's lunch 2, lunch 3. So first lunch starts at the beginning of the period, runs for 35 minutes, and then you will essentially start third period at 11:20. Okay. Second period or second lunch is actually going to be in the middle of third period. So third period will start at 10:45. It'll go for 45 minutes until 11:30. Then you'll have lunch from 11:30 until 12:05. And then you'll go back to third period from 12:05 to 12:45 to finish up third period. So that's kind of a nice one. As far as I know, I am second lunch. It depends on which department, which class you have for third period or sixth period, right? You can also think about this instead of first, second, third. This is also going to be fourth, fifth, and sixth on Wednesday, Thursday. And then the other option is, instead of lunch in the middle of your class, the other option is lunch at the end of third period. So third period starts at 10:45. It's going to go for 1 hour and 25 minutes. And then you'll have lunch at 12:10. and then lunch will go for 35 minutes, and then you will be dismissed for the end of the school day and the end of lunch at 12:45. One thing you might notice here is my note here that says closed campus. From what I've been told by administration, campus is closed. Typically, we have an open campus, which means you can leave for lunch and go and get, food from home, or go to whatever, a gas station or McDonald's or whatever for lunch. But because of COVID expectations and requirements, they're changing it to a closed campus. With that said, I should actually change that to this. Closed campus. Same thing with second lunch. We'll cut that. But third lunch technically has an open campus. From what they've told me is first and second lunch, you cannot leave and go somewhere, home, McDonald's, whatever. You can't leave and go somewhere and then come back to school for the remainder of the day, which is why first and second lunch are closed. Third lunch is considered an open campus because technically you started third period. You ended up completing third period, the hour and 25 minutes at 12:10. And then third lunch is at the end of the day. So once third lunch ends at 12:45, that's the same as third period ending at 12:45. So it sucks. It's kind of a crapshoot. Depends on what lunch you have. But if you have third lunch, you can basically leave after third period is over when third lunch starts at 12:10. So. All right, just to kind of keep talking about a couple of things. The first thing I want to just mention again is that you must attend class. The new attendance policy is starting next Monday, and you're no longer going to be able to access Canvas at some point throughout the day and maybe click on an assignment and then get counted present. You'll have to show up to class on time. If you show up late, you'll be marked tardy. If you show up after 10 minutes, you'll be marked absent. And then if you leave for an extended period of time during that class period without communicating that with your teacher, you'll be marked absent as well. So Canvas doesn't get you out of being marked absent. You'll have to show up to class. All lessons will be done during class. And again, we'll be announcing more things next week and talking about things, but these are just some basic things that I wanted to throw out there. So that way you're prepped and ready for it. I'm no longer going to be creating tutorial videos. I'm no longer going to be posting videos to Canvas. All learning, just like in a normal school year, will be done during class. So you'll have to attend class to get that information. I won't be posting any recordings on Canvas. That'll be done as of next week. So like I said, nothing will be uploaded, tutorials, class videos, nothing. You'll have to attend class and make it to class. Let's say we taught lesson, 5-3 next Monday. I don't know, I'm just making something up. If we taught a lesson next Monday and you missed it, that'll be on you to get the information from it. So either you'll have to talk with another student, you'll have to do some digging on Khan Academy. I can point you in the right direction to Khan Academy, which would show you some videos that you can kind of see what's happening. So I would highly recommend not making a habit of missing class, because you'll be missing all the information that you'll be expected to test over. So make that a priority, making it to class. It's going to change the 2 requirements for the week. Instead of vocab and concepts in the check-in, we're going to get rid of vocab and concepts. And we're going to be doing just the check-in as well as problems from either the book or the worksheet. So think back to how we had worksheet problems a week or 2 ago or a few weeks ago. It'll be similar to that. You'll be given a handful of problems. You'll be given a worksheet. You'll have to complete that. You'll have to show all of your work and your final answer in order to get credit. For my class, it's always been for years, it's either full credit or nothing. So you have to complete the assignment and then you get full credit, or you don't complete it and then you just get a 0 until you complete it. Keep in mind with these book problems, and this is something that I'm going to emphasize next week when we're doing these problems, you need to show me the amount of work that needs to be on your paper has to be enough the steps so I can walk myself through the problem from start to finish. If you're not showing your work, you will receive no credit. If you're only showing 1 or 2 steps and it's really hard for me to follow and understand where you're going and how you got to that final answer, you again won't receive credit until you redo that assignment. So I'll emphasize that starting next week. Make sure your examples, make sure your problems that you're doing mimic mine, the ones that I show you. When we're working through problems in class, I'm not skipping steps. If I do skip a step, it's a little tiny step and it's really easy to follow. And again, I'll show you some examples of what I'm talking about next week. And then I already mentioned this, I'm unlocking all assignments for the week on Monday. So for next week, which I think is 5.2, that stuff will unlock on Monday and then it'll be due Sunday. I'll still have it due Sunday of that week. There was some of me that wanted to push that up until Friday to get that turned in, but I know not everybody has the time throughout the week to do that. And I wanted to be a little more flexible with you. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that due date as Sunday. So if you have any questions about anything, feel free to send me an email. We're going to, of course, be basically redoing or re-talking about all this stuff starting next week when we have people in class. It is going to feel more like a normal school class, right? So I will be at school starting Monday. A lot of it is just going to be from the document camera. It's my understanding there's a second camera in there that I might be able to put on me, like if I'm talking about something. But basically, even if you're in class, even once juniors and sophomores come back, even if you're sitting in class, I'm still going to be teaching everything to the computer because we're going to have a third of our class is the other group and a third of our class that's the 100% remote. So everything that I'm teaching in class, I'm teaching to the document camera. I'm teaching so you'll be able to understand it at home. If you're in class, the only benefit to that is that you can raise your hand and ask a question, or after I wrap something up, I'll be able to come and answer a question for you. But of course, if you're at home, right, 100% remote or the other group that's at home, you can type something in the chat box. To be honest, it might take me a minute or two, 5 minutes or so. It depends on if I'm in the middle of a lesson. Depends on if I'm in the middle of doing something else. I know it's not the best idea, but I'm going to watch those chat boxes as closely as possible so I can get questions and make sure that everything's working. And if somebody has a question about problem 10, I'll be able to throw that up on the document camera and do that problem. But it'll feel a lot more like normal class. So that's all I got for you, I think. That's all that's in my notes. So just remember, if you have anything that's pressing, something you're stressing about, feel free to send me an email real quick. I'm totally fine with that. All the little details and things like that will definitely work out next week when we're in class together. All right. If you need anything, send me an email. I hope you have an awesome weekend and we will see you next Monday. Bye.